Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Collectosphere. I'm your host, Nathan. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new G.I. Joe Classified series, Iron Grenadier. So, this is an army builder. I got him a little earlier than I expected. One of my local sellers, who I buy a lot from, who's a decent friend, um, was able to snag one and pick up an extra one for me. He got his from GameStop. Seems that they're getting theirs a little bit quicker than other places right now. I'm still waiting on my shipment from Big Bad Toy Store or Hasbro. I haven't gotten shipping notices from either yet, so whichever one beats the other. But I was able to snag this off of my friend, so here we go. We have him um, in the review space, and first we're going to take a look at his box. It's pretty simple across the board with all these new ones. Still trying to figure out the lighting. Sorry for the glare on the box. I haven't quite gotten a diffuser yet to fix that. But, same carbon fiber style trimming along the side of the box, very matte. It says Iron Grenadiers down here in the corner, like it did on Metalhead, Cobra, Iron Grenadier, G.I. Joe. There's his graphic on the side. QR code, so you can look at him on the Hasbro website, and it's got his little file card rankings here on the side. Not sure what those mean. There's been so many now I kind of forgot. There he is on the back of the box in front of Laird Destro's castle. Got all your legalese, the endless amount of legalese, and then another nice piece of artwork of him on the side. And then on the bottom, you have your barcode. So if you want to go looking for these in store, there's your barcode. So you can scan it and use it. And then there are more legalese on the bottom. So now we're going to take him out. We're going to get him in the space, look at all the accessories that he comes with, and compare him to some of the other releases. So let's get to that. So getting this guy in the review space, he is really nice. Now I did just take him out of the box. That little cut was actually me taking him out of the box. And first impressions are super good. Having him here along this white backdrop and all the light, you really see all the different kinds of sheens. He's got this real nice glossy paint in certain parts, like along the vest here, on the boots. These boots are especially nice. And the hands are also done in that almost leathery type plastic that they're going for. Um, Same is consistent here on the belt. The gold accents are done so well. Usually Hasbro has a hard time with some of these metallic paints, but on this figure, it is excellent. They even did the back, which they didn't have to. I like it when they do that. I'm pretty picky, but they did. They even did the glossy black on the back of the arms here. And the red paint that they decided to choose for this figure is really, really nice. It is really tastefully done. It is done very well. It is done on both sides. I think the black is the overpaint, as you can see from this little scuff here on the bottom of the waist cape, which is fine because this sheen of red is really nice. Now, back up at the helmet, there is this red metallic paint on the visor and the helmet itself, which looks good. It's a little bit asymmetry here with this curly piece on this side, flat piece on this side. Gold is consistent on both sides and the rest of the helmet. I think it's really funny. He's wearing a little suit and tie and the little ruby necklace that is consistent with Destro. Given that these are Destro's henchmen, I think it's really fitting. Now, for accessories, he comes just like this out of the package, and then he comes with this little helmet, which is for the top of his head. It's got this nice gold fin, and as I'm showing these accessories, we're just going to go ahead and put them on so we can get an idea of the complete look. So, if I can get my camera to keep focusing. Here we go. It's got that nice strap on top, and the gold paint is done so well on the whole figure, I must say. Next, in Iron Grenadier fashion, he has his sword and scabbard. Now, removing the sword, it is also done in that gold paint. Ooh, first time out of the box, and that scratch is all natural. That was done by the sheath. So we'll see if I can get my camera to focus on that. We'll see if I can get that off, or if that is, nope, that is actual scratching. That is kind of disappointing, but understandable. Hard to keep this gold. Oh, it's over here on the tip too. That's kind of disappointing. That just happened on camera. That was my first time removing the sword. A little bit disappointing, but what can you do? A little bit of gold paint that can be fixed. But Yeah, it's still disappointing. But still, the gold is done really nice on the sword. I really enjoy the hilt. I believe this sword is just reuse of the Crimson Guard. I don't have any of those. I never really went out of my way to go out there and build a little army of them just because they were hard to get in my area. So I don't really have any for reference on this. But no, there is quite a bit of reuse between those two figures. The legs and the boots are the same. Other than that, I don't believe they share any other parts. Other weapons, he's got this gun, which is consistent. Pretty much the rest of this is filled out with two different characters. So this gun can be found with the 30th anniversary infantry trooper, where it has the double barrel rifle end and the little stock. I will say that the plastic quality is in a nice medium between being super firm and being a little gummy. They're definitely getting better with that, and I can really appreciate that. Putting that over there. He also has the bigger gun with, and the red paint on this is done really nice too. Gotta say, I believe that this is painted, and these stocks are probably molded plastic because this has a different texture. But it is done super super well. And this gun over here are both found on Big Ben. So I'm assuming that they just took the mold space and filled it with other useful weapons, which are both from Big Ben, the Walmart exclusive Night Force figure. Now, he also comes with the pistol, which was gold with the original first release Destro, and Destro's little laser pistol. Now, I kind of understand the thought process behind giving him these weapons specifically, because it's very similar, or it's not very similar, these are Destro's guns, but if you would rather have him with the laser pistol and laser rifle, or the guns with bullets, you can do either or, and I do appreciate that. So getting him all geared up here in the review space, he looks good. He doesn't have all of his accessories. He's missing the two heavy artillery weapons that come with Big Ben, which is the bigger, heavier rifle, and then the double barrel light rifle. I do think that this looks good. He cuts a mean, nice silhouette. He's a little bit of a chunkier figure. And he's able to house three, well, you can count this as one, this is one. He can hold four accessories on his body at the same time. And if you want, he could hold one of each gun in his hands. So you can store all of the accessories on this figure. I do think it's odd that they chose to hold the laser weapons on the figure instead of giving us a sling or something to hold one or the other. I don't really see any problem with it. I just think that was an interesting choice. Sword sheath does plug in right there on his side, and I think it looks good. For articulation, he's got a ball joint. I'll remove the helmet because this does fall off a little easy, but it's not too bad. If you push it on there hard enough, it'll stay. But at the head, got a ball joint. You can look all around. You can look up that far. You can barely look down. But he's got doesn't really have that much tilt either. But the head does feel better in person than it does through the camera. Now at the neck doesn't really move, but it's got a little bit of wiggle in there. The sash is a floating piece, I believe. Oh yeah, you can remove it. It's just plugged into the back. He's got a butterfly joint. It's okay. Out that far. Yep, it's pretty good. He can bend his elbow in that far, which is also pretty good. And then he's got that bicep swivel. And then on this hand, he has the up and down trigger hinge, but it's like this mold is usually it's pretty stuck in there. And the only difference on this arm is he has the in and out, which isn't too bad. Well, this is a little squeaky. It's interesting. He's got crunches that forward, which is pretty good. Crunches pretty far back, which is also really good. And he has a ball joint that is pretty tight down at the bottom. For leg articulation, because of the skirt, he can still kick up. He can still kick up pretty far, which is nice. He's got that thigh swivel. Same thing you expect with the Crimson Guard if you were picking those guys up. Because of the skirt, the double knee is a little bit hindered, but this is really soft. It gets out of the way at the bottom. The top, it's a little harder though. And he does still have that same boot cut and pin and rocker. Pin and rocker down at the ankle. Now everything has pretty much fallen off now, minus the pistol in the back holster, which I think is interesting because this fell off, sword sheath fell off, and the helmet fell off. So none of the connections on my copy, at least, are super tight, which is okay, but still a little concerning. So, whoa, sorry. Now we're going to move into size comparisons. So first up, we have him here next to the Cobra Trooper, and I think this looks pretty good. This is the retro release of the Cobra Trooper, and I do prefer this one over the original infantry one, just for the extra movement. But that's what the two of them look like together. Speaking of the first release Cobra Trooper, here is that first release Cobra Trooper. Now, the Iron Grenadier is a little bit bigger than him. Just overall, he's a bit more stocky, got a bit more bulk to him, which I do like, and I think that's a good fit for this character. Here we have him alongside Scrap Iron, who is basically one of the first Iron Grenadiers in my eyes. You know, he was around a little bit longer there, or he was around a little bit before these guys, and I think he's an Iron Grenadier now. So it depends what comic book continuity you read, but I think in the new current Skybound stuff, he is. He also is the granddaddy of a couple of these parts, like the arms are reuse and the shoulders are reused between the two. Next up is the Cobra Bat. This is the first release. I don't know if they've done any more, but to my knowledge, they haven't. And this is that Cobra Bat next to the Iron Grenadier, and I think that these two are very well proportioned next to each other, especially given the current comic book run. The bats are a little more human sized, and the Iron Grenadiers are just your average troop builder Joes. So I think these two look pretty good together, and they will look good together in a display. Here he is next to the retro carded Cobra Commander. Now, I know that these two aren't totally in the same spot or they don't really interact a whole lot, but I do think that they also look good together for the contrast. And the tones of black are the exact same because they're using the same kind of plastic. So, but I do think that these two look very nice together. And of course, how could we do size comparisons without bringing in his boss, Destro? I don't have the original Joe Destro anymore. He's long gone. He was used for customs and torn apart. But this is the Mezco 112 Destro, my preferred Destro. And I think they stack up nice together. Destro is a bit wider, if you can see, than the Iron Grenadier. And I think that fits there. With the helmet, the Iron Grenadier is a little bit taller. And I think this Mezco figure in particular is a little bit on the small side compared to some of the others, like Roadblock and Snake Eyes. But I do think that these two still look really nice together, and they definitely, Destro will definitely be in front where all these guys are flanking him. And just for a little bit of cross universe size comparison, here he is with the Marvel Legends Black Panther on the Vulcan body, which is pretty much the new standard for that kind of base body. I figured he's the best comparison since most Marvel Legends stack up pretty evenly with him. Okay, so final thoughts. I do really like this guy. I think that he's a good figure, definitely worth the 25 bucks. I think as an army builder, there is a good amount of variety and that suffices the, being able to get a couple and make them all look a little different. I am very disappointed in the gold paint coming right off the sword as soon as I took it out of the sheath. I hope that's not a problem on my other ones. I really do enjoy the look and the vibe of this figure. He kind of reminds me of that villain, the German guy from Hellboy, and I think that's really cool. These guys can be super badass, um, and there's some heavy downsides, and that is the neck articulation, and it is the the neck articulation is really tough, but the accessories, the helmet pops off way too easily, and the guns fall out of the pouches too easy, and the sword pops off his belt too easy. There's just a kind of a lack of tightness and security that you get with a lot of more recent Joes, and I think that's kind of disappointing from my standpoint. It'll be fun once I have a couple, and I can pose them up and army build them. But just as a one-off figure, I think the lack of tightness in the joints and how easy some of the stuff falls off is kind of disappointing. I do still recommend this figure. You know, Maybe if you can find it at a discount, it's kind of hard with Army Builders and GI Joe. I understand that, but if you can get them at a little bit of a discount, it'll be very nice figure. I still think the accessories are great, and I still think the look is really nice. I just have a hard time with, at least on my copy, and I'm hoping it's not the case with the others, but the tightness of all of the bits of all of the accessories. I'm hoping if I heat up the helmet, stays on a little better. But yeah, pick it up and I barely touch it, and oh, of course, the camera curse. It doesn't want to come off now, but getting him to stand here, it popped off a couple of times. So yeah, good figure. I do recommend him. And this is one of those figures in the GI Joe line who is so close to perfection. It's just the tightness of the joints, or in older cases, it was the gumminess of the accessories, or it was everything about it was good except for the head. That seems to be the case with GI Joe. It's so close to being perfect all the time, and I think that this is one of those cases. Do still definitely recommend this figure if you can find it, but I wouldn't I wouldn't put this in your top 10 most wanted. Leave that up for Nemesis, who will is already shipping. I'm getting this guy kind of late or kind of early, depending on how you look at it. But Nemesis should be here in the next 3 or 4 days, and there will be a review of him as soon as I get him, because that is definitely going to be in one of those top 10. So thank you for tuning in. I wish I had more positivity. I do think that this is a good figure, and I was pretty positive, but I think I had high expectations for this character. But thanks for tuning in. I hope to catch you next time. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it if you feel like it. Please leave any notes for me. I'm new. I'm totally open to this whole thing. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.